Welcome to Beyond the Press Release on production for Gorecom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. With us today, happy to have him back, Zane Callan, CEO at Infinity Stone Ventures, trades in Canada under GEMS, GEMS, and for friends of us, GMSF. And pretty soon on another stock exchange we're going to be excited to tell you about. What for those new to the story, here's what you need to know. Infinity Stone is collecting the critical minerals required for electric vehicle batteries and to power the planet via clean energy, including lithium, graphite, nickel, cobalt, copper, etc., and so on. Why is that? Well, we know if you don't, by 2030, the global demand for lithium alone is expected to surpass 2 million metric tons of lithium carbonate equivalent. So that's more than doubling the demand forecast for 2025. How many marks you know are doubling in 5 years? And we know from Benchmark Minerals, we're going to need 300 new mines just to meet 2035 battery demand. Now, most small cap companies will be happy to focus on one or maybe two of these, but Infinity Stone has essentially started collecting them all like Thanos in the Marvel universe, and their timing couldn't be better because top automakers like Tesla, General Motors, and Ford are heading to mining conferences. They're heading on the circuit themselves because of soaring demand, and they're looking to lock in some long-term supplies. So their timing couldn't be better. Zane, welcome back, my friend.
Well, thanks for having me, George. Always happy to be back.
Hey, let's talk big macro first, and then we're going to get some really cool news on some of your projects. But big macro, what's going on in this critical mineral space? Because we're seeing, like I just, automakers going to conferences. Governments are funding. Department of Defense out of the US is funding even Canadian companies. Man, are we on the brink of an exploding industry that's going to last us 20 years?
Yeah, I think obviously this kind of new industrial movement of looking at kind of powered by the EV revolution and the energy transition really is driving a lot of economic growth for sure. You're seeing a lot of investment in battery manufacturing plants, new car manufacturing plants, the supply chain, and then all the way down to where we operate with mineral exploration and all the commodities that may be necessary to fuel all this. So yeah, I think for sure we're at the base of a really big commodity run, and I think it's going to be driven by a lot of the need for these industrial metals in what's in this energy transition, what's going to be necessary to really get to that net zero and combating climate change and being able to kind of maintain a world or global temperature that's acceptable for humanity. So I think all of those things together, yeah, you're completely right. I think we're moving up. We're in the early stages of a big market. I think you're going to see lots of ups and downs throughout along the way with kind of recession and changes in demand, and it's all going to fluctuate. But if you look at where we are today and you look at it from and then you look 10 years from now, I think for sure we're at the base of something really exciting, especially in the commodity space. And with the demand for these industrial metals, whether it be lithium, graphite, copper, cobalt, nickel, all of these things are going to be necessary to really fuel this transition.
And you're assembling all of them. So we're not going to talk about all of them today, but we're going to talk about graphite and lithium today. So the first one is your Rockstone Graphite project. You refine graphite to 99.773% purity. A lot of people at home say, okay, that sounds really good. 99.73% on anything is generally pretty good. But put that into layman's perspective for all of us. Why is that such a great result, and what does that mean going forward?
Yeah, so really what it's allowed us to kind of understand is that the ore that we're pulling off the Rockstone project can be used in battery grade material as a cathode material. So we can, assuming that we work through the economics of the project and all of the different pieces that we need to get there, it really does give us the initial indications that we're operating on a type of mineral that can be used in the production of batteries, of lithium-ion batteries. So we're very excited with that opportunity, one, but two, it also gives us a lot of indications to what the next steps are. And with that, we will continue to do some more drilling to further define the resource and further understand exactly the ore body. But then beyond that, we are having early discussions with some novel technology companies around the idea of doing some actual processing of the graphite of the current ore that we have, and some bulk samples to kind of see what we can produce and kind of understand the economics of that production in the short term. And there's a couple of ways that we could realistically actually be producing a concentrate in a very short amount of time
Wow.
and be able to get a permit to be able to develop the project in a very short amount of time. And we're just trying to understand all of those pieces. So one of the really exciting things that we've started to understand is that a lot of the graphite is at surface or very close to surface. And we're kind of hitting this at less than 20 meters depth, 20-meter depth, which is really good because it means the ability to produce and the ability to move the property into production is accelerated considerably. So we're not talking about massive underground mining operations or massive pitting operations. It's a much less environmentally disruptive way to mine, but also a lot more economic too.
And would you, because it's so shallow, 20 meters is 60 feet, that's nothing. It just doesn't get any better than that unless you're picking it off right off the ground. That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Does that mean you would have to go through the processes of feasibility studies and preliminary economic assessments and all that, or could you just start scooping it, give it to your potential partners about processing it, and just see, and away you go?
Yeah, so I think we're trying to understand that a little bit more right now. I think there's ways that you can do gravel pitting, and because of the type of ore, because it is graphite, I think our options are a lot more open. So we're just trying to understand all of those pieces right now. But at the outset, we're pretty excited about the opportunity to be able to develop the project maybe a lot sooner than we originally anticipated. And that could get us into a position where we could actually be producing a concentrate, and we could theoretically be selling that concentrate for cash flow. So as we further develop the project and further explore the project. So we're trying to understand all of those things right now. We're not quite ready to kind of talk about it all yet, just because we're gathering this understanding. But at the same time, it is pretty exciting. And I think it really does put us in a great position. Beyond that, I think the Ontario government, we did apply for a grant from the Ontario government for the project as well, where they'll match 50% of our funds, which could be pretty exciting too, because as we kind of explore this opportunity to actually move it into some sort of pilot production, the government could be very supportive of that as well, where they really do want to kind of foster growth in the sector, and kind of promote the companies that are actually moving projects forward in the region. So
are you amazed by the amount of support that's now coming in from different federal, provincial, in the US, state, federal, even like I said in my intro, the Department of Defense? Are you amazed at just how much money is flying in from government to really get all you guys moving as fast as possible?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great for the industry as a whole. I think it's great for the economy as a whole too, right? We're looking at how the North American economy can really be instrumental in this energy transition, how it can move away from supply chains in the rest of the world. And yeah, obviously government has been very supportive of that, but you're also seeing private industry being very supportive of it as well. You're seeing a lot of big companies making massive investments, and there's lots of tax incentives for them to make these investments, but at the same time, it's a great economic decision too, because there is demand for these products. It's creating jobs in the region. And governments are not spending a lot of money on anything right now just because of how inflation's played out since 2020 and 2021. But they are focused on this, and this is probably one of the only sectors that's getting any kind of government love or government spending and infusion at the moment.
And we kind of saw that at PDAC, because man, as busier than it's been in a long time, and battery metals is a big catalyst of that. And as a side note, this had to help saving the Canadian economy, because we really haven't done much. We shunned our resources, but even Justin Trudeau can't ignore battery metals because that's right in his wheelhouse for renewable energy. So that may end up being a savior to our tax base.
Yeah, and if you look at Canada being is the engine of our economic growth is natural resources, and it's historically been oil and gas and forestry. This is just the next step in that evolution, right? Always talking about how we're even hearing stories of oil sands producers now looking at their deposits for lithium, right? And that could be a massive win for the region, where historically they've been kind of demonized as being one of the dirtiest producers in the world, and that's really kind of hurt Alberta, even though it has been the economic engine of the country. And this kind of transition could really kind of turn that around and produce, kind of give a runway for the future where they can produce other battery metals out of the same deposits.
Speaking of lithium, you further hop on to the next, the perfect segue, and it's not like we have this scripted, so it's a perfect segue. You further expanded your project, the historic lithium samples there, the one that's near Patriot Battery Metals Corvette discovery. Let's talk about how much further you expanded that, and how important that is given the fact you're just down the street from Corvette.
Yeah, so obviously Patriot is really our project adjacent to Patriot, the Hellcat Camaro Tiger project, is really kind of where a lot of investors have put a lot of focus over the past year. And I think we've probably been a little bit, we've kind of gotten the brunt of it over the past month from some of our larger shareholders who've put a lot of pressure on the stock. And I think that's come from the expectation that we were going to invest a lot of time and effort at Patriot, and that really was the blue sky opportunity and where they wanted us to focus. And I think we've done a great job with Rockstone. We invested in Rockstone. We still see a great opportunity with Rockstone. We invested in the Buddha project. The Buddha has a great lithium, has great prospective lithium opportunity as well, which I think aligns with what we originally set out to do. And we did some initial drilling and got some initial results, but we're going to continue to build on that. But if we look at kind of that James Bay project as really the focus of where investors want us to deploy capital and where they see all of the upside, I think that we've been limited in the amount of work that we've been able to do up there since October just because of the weather. And I think it's really helping the market understand that we do want to do work up there. It's just we haven't been able to. And I know everyone wants us to put out drill results. I know everyone wants us to do a bunch of work up there, but we just haven't been able to do it over the past 6 months. And we're moving into the summer season where we're going to be able to operate up there. We're very excited to get back on the ground, be able to run a full kind of ground program, do the geophysics, be able to get some samples and be able to start to kind of figure out exactly what the next steps are with that project ahead of a drilling program later in the summer. So I completely understand that shareholders have been very patient in waiting for results out of that project. We're equally as frustrated with not being able to be up there, but we will be up there very, very soon. As soon as the snow melts, and we're very hopeful that we're going to get great results from that initial ground program ahead of future drilling.
Yeah, and logically speaking, guys, I'm speaking to shareholders or if you may be watching this, it's not as if you guys, were ignoring it, right? It's not as if you guys didn't know the importance of it, but sometimes you just got to wait, right? So you can't really be too hard on. I'm not trying to be biased here, but you can't really be too hard on management because they are just as anxious as anybody to really get working there. So sometimes that pressure doesn't make sense. It's more a case of, hey, Zane, when are we going to get there? Hey, George, we're getting there now. The weather's clearing up. We're going full blast. So
we'll be active up there. We're very focused. We're refocusing kind of our efforts there for the next 6 months. That's going to be a big piece of what we work on. And then beyond that, I think we have a number of other projects. We have as I mentioned, we have the Buddha project, which I think has a lot of potential upside. We're looking at different opportunities for the Zen Warbury copper, cobalt, nickel, gold project in terms of spin out or option out. We've talked about spinning out Rockstone as well. And we're going to continue to keep the market up to date on that as we work through the process and try to better understand what's best for the company, what's best for the shareholders, and what can derive the most value for everyone.
And that's the amazing about your business plan. I gotta love you guys were in there. You're running hard. You're acquiring great projects right before prices started moving up. So you're able to pick up a lot of stuff at great prices. Now you're in that catbird seat where you're advancing projects along, and you might be spinning one or two or more of them out into their own company. So I mean, I think you guys done a great job, and the tortoise beats the hare every time, in my opinion. So I like what you guys are doing, Zane. Yeah. Last question for you. You announced an application for dual listing on Upstream. A lot of people watching this are going to say, what's Upstream? But I'm just going to add my 2 cents. I absolutely love Upstream. It's a blockchain-based stock exchange that all small cap investors have been dreaming about because of all the controls, the transparency in place, lack of manipulation through naked short selling and all those things that hurt the industry. But love to hear from you. Why are you applying? What do you like about Upstream? And how long until you're potentially listed Upstream?
Yeah, so we're pretty hopeful that we're going to be listed very, very shortly. We have a couple more docs that we have to get back to them, but we're working on that right now. We were pretty excited to work with the guys at over there at Upstream. I think they have developed a pretty innovative product. It's a product that's needed in the industry for sure. As you said, there's a lot of manipulation out there with naked short selling, and it really is kind of hurt the average retail investor as well as kind of penalizes micro cap companies. So we're pretty excited to be active on the exchange. I think we want to be one of the first Canadian issuers to be listed for sure. I think it's a great opportunity for everyone, including retail investors globally, to be able to get exposure to the Canadian markets. And
Yeah, and Terry Lynch from Power Nickel is already, and we know from Save Canadian Mining is one of the biggest advocates, lobbying the federal government, the provincial governments, and the securities commissions and IROC against naked short selling. So if, he's a great guy in the industry. So if he's seen the opportunity, it's obviously great for Infinity Stone as well. And what I like, I got to tell you is, I've got a lot of friends around the world, Zane, who are in Greece, Colombia, Italy, and they say, "Hey, George, I like these companies. How do I buy them?" I go, "I don't know. I mean, maybe you
it's
get an
very tough.
interactive
Yeah.
broker's account, but it's tough, right?"
Yeah.
Now I can tell them, go download the Upstream app, charge it up with some funds, and start buying Infinity Stone once you guys are dual listed. And if that's, by the way, I don't give financial advice, but my friends ask me and say, "Hey, if you like Infinity Stone, this is how you can buy it through Upstream." So it's going to open up an entire world of possibilities to us for the small cap world.
For sure. And we were even able to get like I signed up myself for the exchange a couple of weeks ago once I learned it. I did it on the call when I was learning about the exchange from the team, and I did it in less than 5 minutes. It was pretty impressive as to how quick you can make it all happen. So
yeah. All right, awesome. Congratulations on again moving Rockstone, the graphite forward. The great project right beside Corvette there, and the potential dual listing on Upstream. We'll wait to hear an update on that, which I'm sure is going to be in the near future. Can't wait to have you back, my friend, but congratulations on moving the company forward so quickly.
Sounds great. No, thank you, George, and always a pleasure. And we'll keep the market up to date here pretty quickly.
To everybody at home, you've been watching or been listening to my podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform. To Zane Callion, CEO at Infinity Stone Ventures, trades in Canada, GEMS, GEMS. You got to love that symbol. In the US, GEMSF, and shortly, hopefully, on Upstream when that potentially goes live. We'll give you the stock symbol at that time. But thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time. Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and then leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel so you don't ever miss another great Agoracom small cap video.